We're live. Here you go. There's your screen intro, Big Red SEO and all that fun stuff. And there we are.
So let's start again. Hello, world. This is Kimberly and Conor Tracy over here at Big Red SEO. Having a little bit of technical challenges here on this Love Day, Valentine's Love Day. Hold on, you're going to hear the can open. Yeah. Okay, cool. So thank you so much for tuning in, everybody that is watching live as well as the replay.
And sorry about the rough start.
No, it's cool. We are tuning in from Nebraska over here in Omaha. The sun is out. There's no snow-ish on the ground, meaning there's no new snow coming on the ground. And today we wanted to bring a special thing of combining two different services into a marketing, how to be able to do it right, how to be able to do it, or whether you should even do it in the first place. Sorry, guys, we have chocolate. I've been eating pieces of chocolate, and then so now the chocolate's trying to let me know that I ate it.
So I wasn't recording on there either.
We are live though, right? Like, this is my law of order getting ready to go. What?
Okay, here. So, knowing that we're supposed to go live at 1 o'clock, the last thing you should do is run a conference call right before it, because then everything just gets compressed. I have real problems with that.
I think he was just calling me out on it. He's like, you should not be doing these things. Anywho.
Okay, so here we are, and it's SEO versus pay-per-click, so here we go.
Go. Chop, chop. This is Connor's running the episode today.
This really feels unorganized today.
It does. I feel like we need to stop and restart, but you're like, no, let's just keep going.
Yeah, I don't think we can.
Yeah, you can. You can end the video and then start again. End the video, start again.
No.
Okay.
No. Big stuff going on Google-wise, just so everybody knows. There was a big update on Sunday. We noticed on the ranking chart Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, a little bit on Thursday. Google has made an announcement that there was no major update. So they just said there were normal daily updates like they would normally do. Mm-hmm. So we know that there was a big update, but they're not confirming it. But at least everything seems to have died down until today. So that's what we got for Google-wise.
Super cool. Okay, so to start, guys, you guys know we've talked about this in multiple different episodes. Our areas, our zone of genius, are the SEO as well as the pay-per-click, right? We've talked about complementing them in, but today's episode, we actually wanted to focus on when is the right time to do it? Is combining them the ideal for your customer or your company, if that makes sense? But then in addition to it, when could you actually do one and then accelerate and do another, if that makes sense? So whether you have just started a business or you've been at it for quite some time, AdWords is going to be that thing where it's pay to play, right? You pay to get clicks into your website. The true benefit of ads is not only do you get in front of people that maybe you would not normally get at as your SEO presence is actually growing, but in addition to that, you can get the phones to ring and you can get contact forms to convert pretty quick and pretty fast, right? Now, with that being said, there is a disclaimer in the fact of, well, you actually might have to make sure you have a clean design that keeps people on the site long enough in order for them to want to convert, as well as you have to be able to articulate what you do to the point where you become the authority leader. And then within that authority leader, people actually want to do business with you. But at the end of the day, if you create an AdWords campaign, and there's some different techniques that we would recommend. We actually had a conversation earlier with one of our business relationships, and he was talking about he did pay-per-click, right? And it's kind of one of those things you edit, you update, you try to make sure that you do it the right way. And a lot of times what we do in conversations is we find that customers stop doing AdWords because they just can't figure it out, or they feel like they lost money at it.
Yeah, if you've blown the budget, then, I mean, there's not much you can do at that point.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that is a big problem, that people will bid on things that they probably shouldn't be bidding on. And But that's the only way you can learn, unless you have an agency that has been down the road that knows what does and what doesn't work.
Right.
Google's own policy is, keep trying, spend more money.
Yeah, and the other thing too, just to really quickly to recap on the AdWords part, we will give you the heads up. Google is calling a lot more. They're calling a lot more businesses to try and get involved in ads. We've had some businesses that have experienced immense success with that, right? We've had other businesses that kind of wind up spending a lot of money in different areas that they weren't looking for. So in that whole disclaimer, I would say just figure out what it is that you need and then determine it from that point forward. And you have tons of videos as well as blog articles out on our website about AdWords. So if you're in the DIY realm and you want to learn some of the techniques, definitely go over there and do your research and your homework.
bigredseo.com/blogs, and then just do a search in there for PPC or for AdWords, and I got tons of blogs. But basically the root of things that I wanted to cover today was the SEO versus pay-per-click, and which one is better and which one you should be using, which one you can cancel or when you can cancel, and should they be used together.
Yeah, cool.
So at the end of the day, is one better than the other? Depends on the situation. As an SEO company, we love saying, well, it depends. But SEO has its own place and AdWords have their own place. When you're running a campaign correctly, you should be using both of them together. Okay. So SEO, the organic rankings, that's your stuff inside of Google. That's basically your 1 through 10 positions. The ads generally happen at the top and the bottom of the search results. Sometimes it's 2 ads, sometimes it's 4 ads. Then you have your map pack. You might have an ad in there, and then at the bottom of the page you get 2 more ads. That's on Google. On Bing, they generally have 4 ads at the top and 1 at the bottom. Just depends on the search query, but that's essentially how they work on Bing's end of things. Depending, again, on the industry, if you are a roofing company, for example, and there's a storm coming through town, pay-per-click all day long, take that number 1 spot if you don't already have that organically. But when you use them in conjunction with each other, you've got your SEO. You should have 1 or 2 listings of your page on that first page, and then if you use an ad on top of that, well, now you've just taken up a third of the page. So that's where using them together is a good thing.
Right.
For the most part, pay-per-click does not influence the rankings in SEO and in organic rankings. And the organic rankings generally do not influence your pay-per-click ads. Now, I say generally because there is one caveat in there, in that the way the pay-per-click operates, you spend less per click if the words on the page are what you're going after with your pay-per-click. So from that end, if you've done your SEO correctly and you've optimized your keywords and you've optimized your page, then your pay-per-click should cost less. So it does influence that way. But whether you spend $100 on pay-per-click or you spend 10 grand over the past 8 months, that's not going to influence where your positions are for regular organic rankings. They're 2 separate teams. They don't talk to each other. Google doesn't care. So
yeah, that's good information. So what would you recommend, if a company was to start, because you dabble in this world a lot more than I do in regards to the ads, when do you recommend for them to start, or is there a time frame for them to start? I mean, they could, if they have an unlimited budget, they could do both or they could do one, but in an ideal world, when all stars align, is there any kind of indication of, yes, you should do this, or no, you should not?
There's not really. It's kind of like there's not really a time when you should start. One thing that you could do, if you wanted to test something, so doing A/B testing, testing whether a particular word, what am I looking at? Oh, yeah, there you go. One of my cameras died. But if you wanted to do an A/B test and figure out is a particular word worth going after organically? That would be a great test to run on a pay-per-click end of things. So from that end, I would do that before spending all the time, before spending all the money going in through doing an organic campaign, which could take 6 or 8 months or longer. Before doing all of that, I'd run a pay-per-click campaign and see if there's any traffic, see if there's anybody doing anything. There are some industries where pay-per-click just doesn't work. Or the return on investment is just not there short term.
Right.
So if you look at like an insurance company, if you do a search for car insurance or for liability insurance or things like that, generally it's $40 a click. Could be $45 per click. Those are issues when somebody clicks on it, comes to your page, you haven't even converted, but you've already spent $40.
Right.
So that can be a problem with pay-per-click. Okay. Unless you have a big enough budget, it's generally not worth playing in that field. You go on to the other side of things, you look at landscaping, for example. Normal yard repair stuff, pay-per-click all day long, not a problem.
Right.
But when you start getting into the architecture end of things and you're doing grand designs and it's $50,000 to $100,000, a lot of that, you might get the initial lead off of pay-per-click, but the conversion happens from an organic end of things. So they can be used in tandem. And don't forget social media.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting because there's actually ads in social media as well. We personally don't do social media. We don't do management there. I reference that as a totally different dragon, if that makes sense, because there is specific skill that's required, whether you're going to boost in Facebook or do an ad. They're two total different things, right? But I will say that we have been able to find a great combination of doing both SEO and AdWords at one time if the company that we're working with has a good budget that's healthy with their online presence. We've had other companies that they just open the doors and they're like, I need money quick and fast. Like, how do I go about that? And usually AdWords is the quickest way to do it, right? Again, it comes down to you pay to play. As you pay, you get clicks. There's a lot of other companies that are willing to take the time for SEO because SEO is a marathon, not a sprint, right? And they're willing to go through the process of staying committed to be able to get it where they need. Something else that happens pretty uniquely is, say a business is seasonal, right? So Conor had talked about the storm chasers, right? But say you just know within a certain season you're going to be busier than another season. Maybe it's not based on an actual storm that's coming in. You can actually run ads before the season as well as after the season and kind of not do the center of the season so you don't wind up paying those extreme rates that everybody else is paying.
Sure.
Which is a cool technique to apply if you're going to do AdWords, right? So what I mean by this is, say that you know that Christmas is your busy season. You could actually start to run ads in October because that's really when people are starting to shop. They're starting to shop in September, October. You're always going to have those last minute shoppers, right? I'm not talking about them. But usually people will actually start to do their research and due diligence in October for Christmas. Then what you can do is you can actually go and do the ads towards the end of January, February. So past Black Friday, past the New Year, and it's more into the cusp of the tax season when they figure out how much taxes do we get back? What do we get to spend? We'll splurge here, we'll splurge there. And sometimes you can even get the Valentine's people in for the Christmas shopping as well, because maybe they didn't get something or they couldn't afford it at that time. So again, this is more targeted towards if you're selling a product. But it also could be targeted towards if you're selling a service. So if your business has specific peaks in the fact of your services are more popular at one time of the year than another, you can actually 30 to 60 days prior to your peak season start to dominate the online presence, especially in AdWords, right? Again, it's pay to play. And then let the organic continue to do what it does. And then hopefully eventually you get on page 1, position 1 through 3. Those are the most high traffic spots, right? As well as the Google Maps, right? So there's multiple different avenues and strategies that you can actually apply to be able to get exposure right quickly, or just build it and let it compound effect. Right.
And not every time pay-per-click doesn't work on everything.
Yeah.
We have run pay-per-click campaigns for... we did a white paper a couple of years ago looking at how SEO works with a web designer and how that interface actually is built and what they should watch for.
Right.
So we had a white paper for that, and we ran that through a pay-per-click campaign. We also did some social media stuff with that, and that worked out really well. Our organic has now taken over to the point that it's driving its own set of traffic.
Right.
There's no reason to continue buying pay-per-click for that white paper because it's already built its own stuff.
Right.
So
no, that makes sense. I'm trying to think what else could possibly help people. So if you have an AdWords campaign, right, and you run an AdWords campaign, you can actually continue to run that same campaign. However, we do recommend going in and editing and changing things. So whether it's you need to update keywords or you need to update what season you're dropping into, right? So you don't want to continue to do the same entire ads again and again. In addition to it, if you do ads, we don't recommend you copying and pasting the same ad content as your competition. We understand people do it, right? It happens. It's quick. It's dirty, whatever. They're like, hey, it's working for so-and-so, so it'll work for me.
Right.
That doesn't necessarily mean that. Another area to really pay attention to if you're going to do AdWords yourself is just because your competition's going after something doesn't necessarily mean it's getting traffic, right? And so what we see that happens time and time again, this is DIY, do it yourself, is there's a lot of assumptions that are made instead of actually looking at the research and the data. Right. The other part too that's really fascinating, a lot of people don't pay attention to, is say that you're in your peak season and everybody's going after ads and everybody's going after the same damn keyword, right? Purple chocolate, right? What can happen is, this is what I referenced, the purple chocolate. So what can happen is if everybody's going after the same keyword in ads, right, and they're driving the traffic to the ads, and what I mean by this is companies are actually paying for it, they can actually drive the cost of that keyword cost to go higher even though it gets zero traffic or it gets low traffic. So stick with me as I explain this out. Say purple chocolate is normally like, 20 cents a click. I don't even know if that's a thing. Don't hold me on that, right? But then all of a sudden, all the candy companies are going after the exact same purple chocolate keyword inside their ads, and everybody's driving it all at once. And it happens to be Christmas season, so then it's super popular, or Valentine's Day, right? So then all of a sudden, Google specifically can take that keyword at 20 cents and they can jack it up to $20 or $200 per click because there's so much competition going after it that they just keep increasing the rate higher and higher and higher and higher. Whoever pays the most within that daily budget, that click budget, winds up getting the actual traffic of it.
So to clarify, it's not necessarily Google jacking up the price.
Yeah.
It's the individual advertisers. So when you buy a pay-per-click, you say, I'm willing to spend this much per click.
Got it.
So if I say I'm willing to spend $1, and the next guy along says I'm willing to spend $1.50, well, that ad price keeps increasing because this guy said he's going to spend $1.50.
Yeah, I probably should redact that. Google, don't hold that against me. I will say that Google has the overall umbrella. So there could be a cap, but there's not a cap, right? And it can keep going higher and higher.
Yep.
And then to drive this home, right? So like purple chocolate at 20 cents, but now it's like $20 or $200 per click. That keyword could actually get only like 9 or 10 visits within a month, but you can go after the other keywords within that same industry that actually already drive traffic and nobody's going after them because they didn't do research to figure out where is the volume. I'm telling you, when it comes to ads, AdWords and DIY, there's so many assumptions made in what gets traffic and what doesn't get traffic.
And with the point about the purple chocolate end of things, if you run your SEO or if you run your pay-per-click campaign correctly, instead of just going after purple chocolate, you should be going after where to purchase purple chocolate.
Yeah.
And that would actually get you a lower cost per click, or buying purple chocolate online, that's going to get a lower.
Yeah, and if it was this guy, he would type into Google, does purple chocolate make my wife happy? That would be a great blog article for a company to rank organically and be like, yes, it does. Here's what you need to do. Oh, and by the way, here's links to different companies to order or different packages.
Pay-per-click is awesome when you're looking at it to capitalize on a trend that is happening.
Yeah.
So you had the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So everything was red and gold or red and white and all that kind of stuff. So pay-per-click, all day long, go after the red and gold stuff.
Yeah.
And then the moment that the Chiefs win, then being able to use that in pay-per-click campaigns, that would be that would be an angle to use.
Yeah.
We got Daytona 500 coming up this weekend. So you're going to run a bunch of pay-per-click ads. But after this weekend, Daytona 500 doesn't mean anything.
Right.
Except to the people who won.
Yeah.
Congratulations to whoever wins.
Right. But it does mean something to someone.
It does mean something. But from the advertising end, it's that run up to it. So if you don't have your campaign in place from 6 months ago, and you just remembered 2 weeks ago, then pay-per-click. But you're going to spend through the nose for it.
Really quickly, a couple other housekeeping things. If you decide to outsource your AdWords to somebody, say like us, or to a different agency, or to a different freelancer, you really want to make sure that you actually own the ads. Now, this is something that we operate from. I'll be honest, I like to own my things, right? It's not the way every single company operates. So what we mean by this is if you hire somebody to make ads, you want to make sure that you actually own the Google account, and then you have them import the campaigns inside that Google account. So
you can assign them as an admin.
Yes. So the thought process is that you would actually own everything, and any work that you paid for would actually stay within that bucket, if that makes sense, that folder of your account. That actually gives you the right and the permission to spend as much money as you possibly want. Now, I realize different agencies and freelancers do business differently. How we personally do it, so if there's another freelancer here that's looking to do AdWords, how we make it less sticky is we put everything in the company's name, and then what we do is we charge a fee to create, update, or manage actual AdWords, right? And then we have them put their payment information inside their AdWords account, and it charges their card directly. Now, that might not align with a lot of freelancers or a lot of people. For the companies that are actually watching that tune into this, we do this so you have the keys to the castle, and then you know what you're spending where and when. Like, there's multiple different models that people do, like paid per performance or something, yada, 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 et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, percentages and things like that.
Yeah, we don't do that. We just charge a bill rate to either create it and or we charge a bill rate to manage it, if that makes sense. It's not for everybody. We understand that. We're just really big believers in giving the keys to the castle to the actual business owners who are hiring, right? So if you are looking to outsource, definitely make sure that those T's are crossed, those I's are dotted. And if you're cool with somebody else owning it and you never having access to it, if you're cool with as soon as you stop services with them, everything disappears, then that's perfectly fine as well. Right. There's not a right or a wrong here. Just bringing to light some stuff that people don't realize until after they've ended a contract or ended a service with somebody, and they're like, well, where did all my stuff go, right? I don't own anything. How come?
And a lot of agencies will maintain that stuff on their end, but not provide access. The idea or the ultimate being on your end that you have both your AdWords campaign in your name and your Google Analytics, and you're able to set up goal conversion and goal tracking, which is what the agency should be setting up to find out, what ones are working, what ones are converting. We're actually doing a conversion campaign for a client this weekend that we're doing configurations for. Yeah. They've had it running for a long time, and then when I got involved, have a look, I'm like, well, how many is actually converting? And that information's unknown. Right. So setting up those conversions, especially from the AdWords end of things, those are things that should be done. And getting it all in your name, that's kind of an important part.
And another thing with AdWords too, whether you are a employee, whether you own the business, whether you're doing it, you're not doing it, whether you're a freelancer, you're an agency, whether you're anybody that's watching this video.
Or a rabbit.
Anyway, the point is that you want to make sure that within your actual Google tracking that you actually filter out your IP for your home location, your office location. We understand on mobile devices you might not be able to do that. However, you want to filter those other parts so you don't accidentally fluke the traffic or drive the traffic or click on your own ads when you're not supposed to be on your own ads. We can't tell you how many times when we first started this business, how many customers lost their ass on AdWords because they kept clicking. They're like, I just wanted to click it to make sure the ad worked. And I'm like, you don't get it. You're paying for your own clicks. So stop clicking. It works. It's fine. It's good to do it once or twice for testing, but don't click excessively on your own ads. It doesn't help exposure. You don't get any more than whatever. It just withdrawals from your account, and it is what it is.
And inside of Google Ads in particular, there's an area where you can run your tests to mimic a regular user without actually having to spend the money.
Yeah.
So definitely go that route.
Yeah.
The same thing from the analytics. Make sure your IP is listed in there, or you're blocking anybody who's logged in. Make sure that's configured to do that. Or if you're using WordPress, make sure anybody who goes to WP-admin, that all of those are all not counted. That way then, you know, if you look at the website and you see you had 200 visitors and you really only had 7, there's a problem.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't know because you're thinking there's 200 or there's 2,000 or there's 5,000 people coming in.
Right.
But it turns out it was the entire people in the store and all of the franchise locations. And not real traffic.
Right.
But it depends on what, again, it comes all the way back to the marketing. What's the purpose of the pay-per-click campaign, or what's the purpose of the social media campaign?
Yeah.
If it was a branding end of things, then that's one thing. If it was a training end of things for internal, that could be something else. Or was it a sales conversion?
Right.
So
yeah, totally.
Those are areas to have a look at.
Totally. Anything else that you have to add besides eating chocolate? So these chocolates I got, y'all, it's super cute. They're Valentine's Day chocolates, and they got little notes on the bottoms of them. So see, it says, well, you might not be able to read it. You're sweet. It says you're sweet. Yeah, I found these. I was like, oh, I'm not going to say that one out loud. It's a little dirty. So yeah.
Where'd you pick these up?
XOXO is a very another popular one.
Kim has picked up like 7 of them. I'm not reading
I'll just put it back down. Put it back down. Yeah, I'm not going to say that on camera either. Not that one either. Okay, cool. So,
when is a good time to stop pay-per-click?
Yeah.
When it is not beneficial. I guess that's
what does
the
that
easiest
mean?
way. So like with our end of things, with regards to the white paper, we were driving more traffic organically than we were pay-per-click wise. We weren't getting the conversions out of the pay-per-click.
Right.
So at that point, there's no point in doing the pay-per-click. It needs to be shifted into something else. Ad fatigue is a real thing.
Yeah.
So making sure your ads are changed up and they are different for different people.
Well,
that
and
is
also,
a big deal.
yeah, I'll say that we had a prospect that we converted as a customer last week, and we were pulling up their local industry, right? And it was 3 ads at the top, plus images, plus videos, plus maps, plus 10 organic listings, plus
and frequently asked questions.
Frequently asked questions, plus 4 ads down at the bottom. And that was all on page 1 of Google, guys.
It was crazy. I'd never seen it that way. The other thing, too,
is like Google constantly tests ads. If you pay attention to an actual desktop or a mobile, they have to put AD on the spot, right, to say that it is actually an ad and not an organic. And visually, if you have a trained eye, you'll see the difference anyway. Without actually seeing that word, there's different design. However, they're getting more and more trickier on how they actually do that. So whether they do it thin font or big bold font or put a colored box around it or not a colored box around it. So what they're doing is, in the previous situations, people would click on ads less than organic. They usually always went for organic. There's a couple theories behind it. Conor and I believe it's because they know if they did ads and somebody clicked on it, they'd have to pay, so they don't want to click the ads and pay, right? There's other people out there that really believe if they click it, they have to pay, like their card's going to get charged for it. It's super funny. But the whole point and the whole intention is that there's constantly changing and testing. However, there's a lot of data depending on what the industry is. Not every industry has that much information. There are some industries that don't offer any ads at all. So when you're looking at AdWords versus SEO, you might be one of those industries that there's nobody competing for ads. Nobody's paying for ads. So therefore, there's no requirement for ads, if that makes sense. We've seen that on a handful of different companies.
Yeah, it depends on the search query.
And it's usually service-based, not product-based, right? But it is out there and it does happen. So just know that there is a thing called ad fatigue, and you probably experience it in yourself too.
You've probably experienced it on social media when the same ad and same video comes up time and time again.
Yeah.
You can tweak your ads. You can do remarketing campaigns that if somebody was at your website before, then they get a different kind of ad than somebody who's never been to your site.
Something tricky in social media that I just noticed last week, guys. You probably have known this forever. So sometimes I like to go little in incognito, and what that means is I'll look at something and I'll like it, but I really have no interest in clicking and learning more. I just like the visual of the graphic, or I want to keep the stuff for down the road, right? So I do a screen capture on my phone. So I actually don't click in social media what the thing is, but I screen capture it. And then I did that to a handful of things, and all of a sudden my newsfeed got flooded with advertisements and sponsorships for those things. And I was like, dang, like they're still spying, and I just took a private photo. I didn't even click on the things, right? So there is a lot of different testing and a lot of different stuff that happens in the background. So
what do you think triggered that?
I think that they knew that I snapped my camera. Right? So they have microphones on things. We'll be talking about something out of the blue, and then all of a sudden we load our Facebook, and then it's loading in our news feed because it listens to our phone. So
my guess with your situation on what happened there, it was the amount of time you spent looking at the ad, therefore it triggered something on the back end.
Yeah, so I didn't expand at the ad, and I didn't look at the ad. I just screen captured. Like I took a picture with my phone of the ad.
But it was in the scroll. You paused on the scroll and then took a picture. So maybe it was 10 seconds.
Scroll, paused, and then scrolled again.
Yeah,
I did it really fast.
With shit in your mouth.
Chocolate in my mouth. I know. It's so good, guys. Like these notes are like super cute. Nope, not going to say that one out loud. Not that one. Nah.
But they're super cute. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, they have love notes. It's called Love Notes Hershey Kisses. So they were probably not appropriate for this Facebook Live, but yeah. Anyway. Perfect. Thank you, everybody, for joining for the live or the replay, and also the patience of the beginning of our video. I think this is by far the biggest slow start.
It was definitely a slow start. It was
biggest technical challenge video we've had yet.
It was an unorthodox start to the video.
I think it was because we were meant to just come on and be us on this Facebook Love Day.
Maybe.
I think that's what it was. But anyway, hopefully this material is good for you guys and valuable. If you need help, feel free to reach out. We are always onboarding brand new clients, as well as those that we've had the honor to work with in the past. So whether you need SEO, pay-per-click, or WordPress website design or updates, we're here. We're happy to help. Like, just give us a buzz. In the meantime, feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel, as well as follow us on Facebook if you want the weekly lives that we have. There is also Twitter out there. This guy actually operates that, not moi.
From time to time.
I don't know how to do the tweet, Twitter thing. So I let him roll with that.
It's usually industry news stuff.
So everybody that joined, thank you so much. Maureen, Lindsay, Laura, Todd, and more. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Have a happy Valentine's Day. Oh, Matt tuned in. Hey, Matt. All right, cool. Chat soon.
Okay. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.